You left the relationship. You did the hard thing. You finally got out, and somehow it feels like you're still in it. Every exchange about the kids becomes negotiation that you didn't ask for. Every schedule change is a power play. Every decision you make as a parent gets questioned, undermined, or quietly reversed the moment the kids walk through the door. You are not co-parenting, you're counter-parenting, and you've probably been calling it something else, difficult, high conflict, just how they are, because nobody gave you the language for what this actually is. I am Cheryl Sayre, licensed psychotherapist, a national board certified forensic mental health evaluator, family court mediator, and a guardian ad litem. I want to name something that is a pattern that destroys parents, good parents, because it hides inside the costume of cooperation. And here's what counter parenting looks like from the outside. They become the fun parent, the yes parent, the parent who understands, and you become the one who is always exhausted, always enforcing, and always the bad guy. And here's the thing that's probably going to make your stomach drop if this is your life. They are not doing this because they disagree with your parenting. They're doing this because undermining you is the parenting. I'm going to say that again. They do it because undermining you is the parenting. The goal is not about raising the child or children. The goal is staying in a relationship with you through the child. Let me show you what's actually happening because this is where my forensic mental health background becomes relevant. In formal evaluations, we look for something called parental alienation, which is a real phenomenon and it gets talked about a lot. But what often gets missed is the inverse pattern, not turning the child against the other parent, but using the child as a delivery system for continued control. The difference is very important. Alienation says, I want the child to reject you. Counter parenting says, I want you to feel my presence in every parenting decision you make. I want you to never feel settled. I want you to always be managing me, even when I am not in the room. That is how coercive control continues after separation. The legal system often doesn't recognize it because there's no yelling, there's no threats, no obvious abuse. It looks like disagreement. It looks like two parents who just can't get along, who just can't make decisions for their children together. But what it actually is, what the research on coercive control consistently shows is that the most dangerous period for someone leaving a controlling relationship is not the moment of leaving, it's the months and years afterward when the controlling partner loses direct access and starts finding new ways to get in. The children, unfortunately, become the root. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Family Violence found that over 60% of survivors of coercive control reported that abuse continued or escalated post separation through child related contact and custody disputes. This is not a co parenting problem. This is a control problem wearing co parenting clothes. I want to name it so that you can stop wondering if you're making it up. If you're exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix it, not because parenting is hard, but because you're parenting against resistance, every decision has a shadow. Every choice you make for your child gets filtered through the question, how are they going to use this? How is this going to be used against me? And you've started second guessing yourself. You used to trust your instincts. Now you document everything, screenshot everything, prepare for the conversation that might never happen or might happen at pickup in front of your kids with no warning. You feel crazy because from the outside, it looks like nothing, a text that's a little off, a schedule change that's technically reasonable, a comment your child repeats that could mean absolutely nothing or could mean everything. And the hardest part, you can't fully explain it to anyone. Your friends think that you should just communicate better. Maybe you've even had a therapist who said, oh, well, you need to learn how to co parent better because that's what I do. There's those situations that happen as well. Your family thinks that you're being dramatic. You might even be told that the problem is your communication skills. The problem is not your communication skills. The problem is that you are trying to cooperate with someone who is using cooperation as an actual weapon. And this is where I want to bring in something that I have developed over years of clinical and forensic work that I call the 7 relationships framework. So the premise is really simple. You do not have one relationship, you have 7: yourself, your intimate partner, your family of origin, your children, your friends, your work, authority figures, your community, and faith. The patterns in one relationship do not stay there. They migrate, they replicate, they corrupt every other relationship. Counter parenting is an R2 pattern. It lives in intimate partner relationship, but it attacks through R4, the relationship with your children. And when it does, it starts to corrode R1, the relationship you have with yourself, because you can't be a grounded, self trusting parent when someone is constantly introducing static into your decisions. You can't maintain your internal authority when every choice that you make gets second guessed, reversed, or documented. The counter parenting pattern isn't just about the kids, it's about making sure you never fully get yourself back. And that's the part that keeps you stuck because you keep trying to solve it as a co parenting problem when it's actually a pattern recognition problem. You're trying to cooperate your way out of something that was never about cooperation. So let me show you the mechanism because once you see it, you can stop participating in it unconsciously. Counter parenting runs on a loop. Step one, they create ambiguity, a schedule that's slightly unclear, a decision that wasn't quite agreed upon, something that forces you to reach out, clarify, or engage. Step two, you engage because you're trying to be reasonable. You're trying to co parent. You're trying to do the right thing for your children. Step three, the engagement becomes the content. Now there's a text thread. Now there's something to interpret, to misrepresent, to bring up later. Your reasonableness becomes evidence of your over involvement, your controlling nature, your inability to let go. And step four, you feel destabilized. You question yourself, You spend energy managing them instead of being present with your children. Step 5, they feel connected to you again, not through intimacy, through impact, through the knowledge that they still affect your internal state. And the cycle repeats over and over and over. This is why parallel parenting exists as a concept, because true co parenting requires two people who are genuinely oriented towards the child's well being. When one person is oriented towards control, cooperation becomes a trap. So, what do you do with that? First, you name it, not out loud, not to them. That rarely helps and often actually escalates, but internally to yourself. That's where you need to know this. You stop calling it high conflict. You stop calling it difficult. You call it what it is: continued coercive control through the parenting relationship. The naming is not about blame, it's about accuracy. Because when you see the pattern accurately, you stop trying to solve the wrong problem, right? Second, you stop trying to co parent in the traditional sense. You move towards parallel parenting, clear boundaries, minimal direct contact, communication through structured channels only, decisions made independently in your home. This might feel like giving up. It could even feel like failure. It could feel like you're not doing the mature thing. It's not any of those things. It's recognizing that cooperation requires 2 willing participants and protecting your energy for the one thing that actually matters: being present for your children in your own home on your own terms. Third, you start rebuild R1, the relationship with yourself, because counter parenting erodes self trust systematically. Every time they undermine you, every time your child repeats something that makes you question your own parenting, every time you feel crazy for noticing what you're noticing, that's erosion of internal authority. And the repair is not convincing them to change, because that's impossible. The repair is rebuilding your own ground, rebuilding yourself. So if you've watched this far, I want to say something directly to you. You are not crazy or dramatic, and you're not the difficult co-parent. You're a person who left a relationship that was hurting you, and now you're discovering that leaving the house doesn't mean that you have left the pattern. The children are not the battlefield, but they are being used as one. And the most powerful thing you can do, the thing that actually protects them, is to stop engaging in the war and start building something solid within your own home. That's not abandoning your kids. That's modeling for them what a grounded, self trusting adult looks like. That's giving them at least one home where the energy is not about the other parent. They will notice, and it may take years, but they will notice. So if this landed for you, if you felt something shift while you were watching this, I want to let you know that this is the kind of pattern that I love to go deeper on inside of my own work, the 7 relationships framework. It exists specifically for this, understanding how patterns migrate, how they replicate, and how you interrupt them. There's a link below where you can take a relationship quiz. It'll show you which of the 7 relationships is currently the most affected and where the pattern is likely coming from. You don't have to figure this out alone, and you don't have to keep managing something that was designed to be unmanageable. So, even if you don't take the quiz, please like, subscribe, share this with somebody you know who may be in this situation, who needs language for what they're going through. If you have been trying to explain this to your friends and family, share it with them so that they can have a better understanding of what's going on. And please leave a comment. It helps me to get up there in the algorithm. And when you leave comments, it also helps me with the direction of the channel, like what questions are still unanswered and what information people still need. That ends up being helpful to everyone. I've actually made several videos based on comments or emails that I have received. All right. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.